So you finally tracked that woman that caused all this stupid time loops nonsense? You send her to me. I will personally punish her for messing up with my Hal. No one messes with Natus's Hal and gets away scot-free. Not to mention the goddamn confusion we have with that Transformers villains. Seriously, where the hell do those people rank? Do they rank amongst mine? Are they going to yours? Are they going to the toy hell? Where the hell are they? Ugh. Oh, I am recording the video. Hello, everyone. I'm Natus, the ruler of Manga Hell, and today we'll be reacting to the newest chapter of Black Clover, chapter 306, Boundary. A weird title for the chapter, but alright. So anyways, we start this chapter off with where we left it off the last chapter with getting ready for the bow, getting his marksmanship on, and shooting it. It's really pretty nice bowsmanship shot. I mean, I'm not sure if it's because there's so little bow users, to the point that even characters that would make sense to be bow users don't seem to have them, or if it's just, not very commonly used, but this is actually a pretty cool shot with a bow. And then we get the arrow completely piercing Xenon right through this area. Like, I think it's somewhere right below the throat, or like right at the very end of the throat. It's one of those very almost like up to the neck area. That's where it is somewhere. And then we see Xenon reacting with shock. Well, shock being like, oh. Ugh, my god, I really wish the villains in Black Clover at least had more facial expressions. Like, I'm not sure if this is just them specifically, or if Tabata just doesn't know how to draw them with actually shock expressions. Seriously, I feel like the only character who has an actual shocked expression, some villain is Vonica, and even her is more of a lesser, not an over the top one. But maybe Dante as well. But most of them I feel just have huh, those very minimal. And then we see the ball, which I'm guessing gave a little more damage between panels, because this one seems like it's almost cutting off so big that it almost seems to cut his head off, as we see in the background. And Xenon's like, what speed! Incredible to think it was possible to run this body through. Well, Xenon, you didn't need to find out that if that was possible if you simply haven't focused on attacking Langres. Seriously. A lot of people have been saying how Xenon is the smartest Dark Tribe member because of the end chapter, which I will get into. But saying that he's the smartest, where he arguably did the stupidest thing of being defeated in their 100% form of all three, seriously, they ought to at least have some form of excuse for it. Xenon literally just, for no reason, spent 3 minutes, if you go by Boku's standard, light speed shooting his bones at Langres, even though he should at that point already known, shoot at Yuno. Seriously, no one told me anything about them psychically speaking or something. So yeah, then we get a shot with Yuno, and he's like, our tenacity wins this one. As we see a close-up of Xenon's eye, the one that's covered in bone, as we see him bleeding from his mouth. And then we get a flashback with Xenon. Finally, we get some proper flashbacks with Xenon. We'll get into it after the first page, by the way. And then we see Xenon beaten up, and we have Vonica speaking, which is great. Tabata hasn't forgotten about her. Be like, what happened to you? Did you get hurt again? Whoa, loser! And then we have Dante speaking. Also, it's unclear which timeline this is, or even where they are. Seriously, now I look at this picture of this building, it kind of reminds me of the Black Bull's base, honestly. But the way that they look to be, Xenon looks to be about 8 here, with Vonica maybe a little older, with Dante being like 13. In the anime, I believe it was confirmed. The anime casting did, I believe, state that they go by Dante, Vonica, and Xenon in terms of birth order, except for this chapter where we find out about the oldest one. But yeah, that's how they were going. I'm guessing Dante 13, Xenon 7, Vonica 10 maybe. I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, we have Dante respond with, for someone who's my little brother, that's pretty pathetic. So yeah. Oh great. Someone, now even though my drinks are being damaged by this fucking shift. So anyways, then we get the fourth brother, as he is, I'm guessing, coughing or rattling, because while he's speaking he's like cough cough, and there seems to be some rattle. I guess that's his wheelchair. And he's like, don't worry, Xenon. And Xenon responds with, big brother? And the big brother says, you're the one who's the most like me. You have greater aptitude for being a devil host than either of Dante or Vonica. So let's start with, so alright, this is the end, and now let's talk about the things I want to talk. First of all, now a lot of people have said how this, because this panel or this flashback with Xenon actually makes him better than the other two. The other two are just meatheads. No, the thing is, Tabata has been pretty consistent with the Dark Triad, or has a pretty like a pattern where they go in an order. Like, it's getting at random. I mean, the first one we see is Xenon, then we see Vonica, and then we see Dante, with Vonica now to have like a bit of a like multi-guardians with Xenon, which is could just be used as a reasoning for like manga build-up type of stuff. Even in the attacks, first we have Xenon, then we have Vonica, and then we have Dante showing up. Essentially. And the same, that pattern has been like repeated multiple times. Like, very rarely does um like even the showing off their devils, like the silhouette that forms. We first got Xenons, we get like the full silhouette form and some like just the horns. Then with Magicula before Xenon's Devil, or after Xenon's Devil, and then we got Lucifero. So Tabata is definitely like a trend here. So I think this is more supposed to be like he's starting with Xenon, and then he's gonna go with Vonica, and then with Dante. Because, or well, maybe he's gonna do something different with Vonica, because we'll talk about it later in the later panel. But anyways, I feel like this is just about keeping that trend with Xenon's flashback first, and then the other two. So that's what I think it actually is going on. Don't like take it in story how the two are still, like and Dante are still, from what we know, alive, for God's sakes. Like, there was no like their hands on the floor or something. How Vika disappeared, for God's sakes. So yeah. Now, the next thing to mention in this one, that bother is something we'll get into a little bit, is the fact that in this chapter, right now in this panel, said that he has, that Xena is the most like him, and that he has greater aptitude than Vonica and Dante. Now, I feel like this is more manipulation, especially considering the end of the chapter. Because let's just say that the whole, oh, don't worry, little brother, you're the most like me, the strongest or the oldest brother, and you are have greater talent than those two. Just saying, this sounds a lot more like manipulation than the fact. Also, something I would like to mention is the fact that Vonica, weirdly enough, has a emotional reaction when she calls Xenon a loser, which is odd because usually when she talks to someone who is weaker, she usually has more like this, more like a Xenon expression, in all honesty. Like more like a, shut up, you loser, go away and die in a corner. Not like, oh, what a loser. So it's a bit weird. No, anyways, then we get a shot of the castle, of the from the timeline, and we get to see a couple of bullies beating up Xenon, and then we have the one of the henchmen bullies be like, "John, you're so tough," as John says, "Creepy little guy, his bones shot off his body." That's a weird thing to call creepy. I mean, have you been in hell, dude, kid? Trust me, us people in hell have a far more higher stand than you. And then we have that John guy attacking Xena again. He's like, "My dad's in the Mage Defense Force. I'll slay you." Now, this is something I actually have to mention. Because this has been something that Broku and Buzzard, when they were making their Dark Triad video, I believe it's the last video that Buzzard made on his channel, were questioning about the backstory with the Dark Triad, because in the anime they included a scene where Ralph's father, the Space Resistance member, said, "Keep an eye out on them. They aren't to be trusted." So people were questioning if this means that the Spade Kingdom was like looking more negatively at the Dark Triad before the takeover, like even before they did anything, or in this case when they were children, if they would like already be like, "Oh, look at those creepy, I think that might be enemies. I don't like them. They might be scheming something." And this actually does seem to like hint at it. Again, very difficult to know because it's like the only time we get something like this. But I would not be surprised if if we get Dante and Vonika's flashback, it'll be a similar case. Obviously not the same case, but a similar case. And then we have when this guy's gonna go to attack him. I'm not sure if it's gonna go for the death blow. There's a fireball sent at him to block his pathway, and as John responds with "hot, hot, hot," and then we see a kid saying, What are you talking about?" And then we get a character who looks suspiciously like Asta showing up and saying, "It's just a different type of magic. So what?" Which it is true. So yeah. And then we see those bullies be like, "Ah, it's Ellen, run for it." And Ellen says, "And they are Mage Defense Force kids? That's just embarrassing." "I'm Ellen. Your magic looks way stronger." So it's a compliment. So yeah. Now, as you may have noticed, well, if you've seen the clips, images from this chapter, this Ellen kid does look a lot like Asta, so people are curious about the connection. If there's connection, it's probably gonna be revealed in a book or an Ask Question Corner, or maybe when we get his profile in volume. Is it volume 30 or 29? I think it's in that general. Actually, I think it will be 40, or is it 41? It's not gonna be one of those chapters. Needless to say, so people were questioning it. I first personally think it's just supposed to be a very literal interpretation. Like it's more supposed to be more of a dead-on interpretation of what Tabata is going with here. After all, Xena in these panels, like a child, does look similar to Yuno, so that's probably what we are going with. It's just more supposed to be a more literal, showing up with what Tabata is referencing. So I'm not sure. As for like if he could be, sure, I could see it just be a family relation, or it could just be like a random. And also, I would like to mention the fact there's no colors in manga, so I wouldn't be surprised if, let's say, when we actually get the animation or in a book volume or something like that, that Ellen has more like a different style. Like maybe he has like red hair and green and blue eyes or something like that. So, anyways, then we get another shot of the Spade Kingdom. And then and it's like everybody's scared, nervous too. The Spade Kingdom is always snowed in. There is a never-ending rebellion going on, and the Diamond Kingdom keeps invading. So I guess it's some of the explanations that are in the Spade Kingdom. I wonder what's with the never-ending rebellion, though. It's not something that's been mentioned. Like the Yuno's father in that extended flashback, which may be more canon than I originally thought. seems to have said they say that they are rebellion fighters. So I'm a bit curious on that front. The timeline is confusing, but I feel like it's gonna be more obvious with the other two, or at least we're gonna get a little more hints to the other two, when the other twos. And it's nice to see that the Diamond Kingdom is still like an invading force. So yeah, it seems like from this that the Spade Kingdom had like the hardest times when it comes to like everything. So then we have him, Alan continuing, I want to get stronger so I can protect the people who are in trouble, are trembling with fear. I want to light the fire of hope in this frozen land. So, I'm gonna be commander in chief of the Magic Defense Force. As we see Xena being a little bit shocked by it. I'm guess, yeah, it's this commander in chief is definitely a position that Tawada's trying to make it look like the Wizard King for the Spade Kingdom. A little weird how that position seems to have became irrelevant after the dog tried took over or something. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Xenon thought it was disrespectful to have that position since Alan never could. So maybe it's that? I mean, Vodka probably wouldn't care. Dante would probably think it's beneath him to call himself commander in chief. And well, I'm not gonna talk about the full one because we don't know yet. And, but anyways, Xeno then responds with me too, I'll be commander in chief too. As Alan's a bit shocked, but he responds with the way Austin would basically, I guess that means we are rivals. And then we have Alan speaking here, and he's like, let's see which of us becomes commander in chief. As we see the shot of the Spade Castle. All of Spade Castle imagery in this one for some reason. And then we see a bit of them training going up. We see Xenon working more with his bones. We see Alan work with his fire. And then we see Xenon's getting the grimoire. And then we see a panel with Xenon and his fourth brother. And he's like, I'm very sorry, big brother. I'm not interested in becoming a devil host. So yeah, we'll get into it a little more later. And then we have, I guess, the Spade Soldier Initiative or something, when they welcome the new members. And then we have them being like, congratulations, one of the people there who are in charge, congratulations on your admission to the Division 4 of the Major Defense Force. I'm a little curious how many of those Major Defense Forces are. Is there a particular reason why they are divisions? I don't know. I feel like this might be explained more with the other two, or at least get more of a light. I'm not sure. I'm someone who's very interested in seeing how writers depict their military kingdoms and all that type of stuff. So I'm making my own evil empire, in case you're wondering. And I'm kind of curious on exactly how does the Spade Kingdom have a breakdown. I get where they're going with. They're trying to make Spade Kingdom and Clover Kingdom be very similar positions, but I'm kind of curious how they have it working here. Since the Clover Kingdom just has a bunch of random Magic Knight squads who have their own theme to it, so I'm curious about the ones here. And then we have the guys still continue to be like, both this year's new members are battle ready. In particular, Xeno of Bone Magic is a genius. Surprised to see they actually complimented Xena because that the earlier interpretation of it seemed to imply that people found Xenon creepy and all that stuff. Although I guess the commanders and the more higher ups in the positions of power in the speaker might be like more creepy magic, but pretty high level. So yeah, and then we have another shot of the Spade Kingdom, and then we have some random people. I guess that's probably like the division whose job is, or the group that's job is to report stuff. And they're like, a dungeon has appeared to the northwest of the town of Latuan. Division 4, go there immediately investigate. As then we see Xenon and Ellen with the capes going in, and I was like, I'm not losing this time, Xenon. As soon as possible, there's no winning or losing on missions, Ellen. And I was like, man, you're always so serious. Which I feel like is supposed to give a little more of a difference between Xena and Alan's personalities to Asta and Yunon, so it will not feel like it's too one-to-one thing. But yeah. And then we see, cut to a page where we see a devil Some people would say it's a mid-rank devil. Honestly, to me, I could be a low rank or mid rank or somewhere in that slot because the devil doesn't speak; it just screams "yak yak yak," and seems like that bit more of a. It doesn't look all overly humanoid, but it doesn't look overly animalistic. So it's a bit difficult to say specifically. I'm gonna go that it's a lower ranking devil, or if not, it's more like a maybe a higher upper in the chain. I don't know. It's very difficult. It doesn't really matter. I think Toba just want to give like a random design that could be whatever way you want. I mean, that's kind of resemble that one that was against lock, but still, I'm pretty sure it's just supposed to be like a random cool devil design. And then we have actually, if I look at the eyes in this panel, it actually seems to have the same eyes as the lower ranking one, so I'm guessing it's a lower ranking one. And then we have some soldiers being like, unbelievable, a devil was sealed in here? It's insanely strong. If it keeps this up, we'll be wiped out. So yeah, I guess it's also supposed to be Tabata showing, oh yeah, those are a legitimate force, like not everyone could just defeat them. Because there seem to be like, from what we see only 3 dead space soldiers with 3 wounded, and Xenon also being wounded. As Xenon is thinking, if I'm going to defeat that, I've got no choice. I'll have to use my ultimate spell and put all my magic behind it. Only it isn't leaving me any openings to hit it. And then we have Ellen running through Xenon, passing through Xenon as he says, I'm going to be Commander-in-Chief of the Magic Defense Force. I can't lose here! Which is again supposed to be a parallel to Asta. And now we are going to have a bit of a bit of a difference between Asta and Ellen. As Xenon then says, Ellen! And then we have Xenon still thinking, all you'll do is buy time. And then we see Ellen with his flame sword that kind of resembles Asta again, the parallels. And the devil seems to block it. As Xenon responds with, you'll die! As Xenon then looks a bit in a shock. Well, not even shock. Well, he will realize something, and he's like, this is my only chance. If I fire now, I can kill the devil along with Ellen. So basically what Xenon is thinking is, this is an opening for me to beat them. As Xenon also then thinks about some other stuff, as we see like 5 wounded space soldiers in behind him, and he's like, if I don't do it, we'll all die. And then we see the eye that was covered with bones. I guess this was supposed to be a hint to it. As then we have him thinking as when another shot with the castle, and he's like, the damage will spread to the kingdom too. At the very least, the people in the nearby town will die. And then we see him having a flashback with Ellen, and him looking at it as then he sends a bunch of bones stabbing right through Ellen and right through the devil, effectively killing both of them. And then we get some dialogue over the shots. We're about the power. We see a shot of him sending the bones and then being through both of them as Xenon's bones. I guess he ran out of mana. As he says, neither emotions nor tenacity mean a thing. And then we see a panel, a very sad panel, with Xenon completely crying, and his expression like surprisingly enough, Xenon's expression here is like the most sad that we've ever seen. Like you can tell that like I didn't want to, but I had to. Like that's what he's pretty much screaming right now in his head. I feel like as he's just like, which is kind of surprising to see someone who's so emotional as having this kind of reaction. And then we have him say the weak should be discarded. Overwhelming power is everything. If even ordinary devil has had power like that, then as he comes to his bar and be like, big brother. And then he says, make me a devil host too. And then we come back to the present. Now, this is something that's been a theory going on in the end of this chapter, with him being, with the people being like, um, was the devil a setup? Was it planned? Because the Big Brother already seems to have some influence with the underworld, at the very least can make contracts. And this is a low ranking devil, so it is a bit in the question if that was a setup or he was responsible or something like that. So, yeah. No, the way I see it, I could see the brother doing something, or I could see the brother at the very least knowing there's a devil evil there, and he was the one who like found the dungeon, and that's the reason why people were sent. I mean, it does seem like a little weird that he was able to bring a devil, then found a random dungeon, and then put said devil go in there and cause chaos or something. A bit weird. So I feel like it's more likely that either whatever devil he has, Lucifugus, the Time Devil, or whatever he has, he just one of those devils told him there's a devil in that location, and that is where the fourth division is. Maybe you could go there or send someone. Dante, Vanica. People also say maybe Vanica and Dante were in. Now, I could see Dante. Vanica, I feel like she got her devil in the Clover Kingdom, or at least got some relation to the Clover Kingdom. Because, Magico had a lot of history with the Clover Kingdom specifically. I mean, we don't have as many history with Magicla in the Spade Kingdom as we have with Clover Kingdom. So I feel like Vanica might have gotten him there. Well, her there. But yeah. So I do see it possibly. And this is another one of those things where I feel like his previous talk when he was like, "Oh, you are the most like me. You have better taste in it than Vanica and Ante." This is why I think that the brother is more of a manipulator, because, well, this does really come off like a lot of manipulation on his part. And I will not. And I feel like this is also why we start out with Xena, because the fan base definitely views Xena in a more favorable light than Dante and Vanica. Like, Vanica, you love or hate her, and Dante, majority hate. Except if you're in Japan, where apparently majority loves him the most. So I guess Vanica might be the most hated Dark Tribe member, or the one that people don't have any special feelings the most. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I feel like this might be more like a, oh, you think it's because he's the most powerful, but actually just standard manipulation tactic. A lot of evidence to it, this just spirits will just be manipulation, is the fact that, I mean, alright, I may need to remind you all of this because it was like, I feel like about 10 chapters or almost 10 chapters ago, but Magica stated that Vanica was an exception, a prodigy amongst devil hosts. And she was such a prodigy that it was basically comparable to Axel and Lord Magica, the queen of the Heart Kingdom with her vast mana, and let's not forget how vast mana Lord Magica has, and Axel Silva, at the time, I believe, stated the strongest magic knight. Essentially, someone could be the Wizard King. Like, that's a lot of competition, and Xenon hasn't had, like, feats to really show him to be more of a prodigy than that. Like, buying a soul being sacrificed does give her more credit. And also, I'm not saying that that proves that Xenon is lesser than her, but I feel like comparable is the best we can say it. So I could see it as being more of a manipulation tactic by him. And also, something that some people have been also mentioning is the fact that this explains why in volume 24, Xenon is with Asta, with Xenon looking at Asta, which some people found weird because, you'd think, because, it's a main character, there's been a time skip, and the first villain we see, so it wouldn't be weird, but it's the fact he's literally looking at him. Even though he doesn't even meet Asta until volume 26, and that's a quick glimpse. So yeah. Now we cut to the present as we see Zia on the ground as the bones around him are starting to get destroyed. As then we see, and we finally see the Xenon's devil's name, which is Beelzebub. And Xeon is like, let's make a deal. And right now, this is the moment deal that I'm guessing it's supposed to be like Asta's deal with Libe against Dante. That's what I think it's going. Which I do like the idea of it. It's generally because that is like a very good like I feel like this is a perfect way to like kind of have like a different twist to it where like this is the moment where like the villains start to like having their counterattack with the contract that you usually expect the heroes to. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's interesting to say the least. The name the devil, Xenon's devil, by the way, his name being revealed to be Beelzebub. Most people thought, like I honestly thought the Unami's video where all three of the rulers of the underworld were just Lucifer, or maybe like a variation of Lucifer, was more interesting, but Beelzebub does make sense. Oh, by the way, Beelzebub, you're not as good as Beelzebub from I spent 300 years killing slimes and I'm maxed out. That chick is the actual Beelzebub. You are just some starring villain. So yeah. Now, this does now leaves a question what's gonna happen in the next chapter. I'm guessing we're gonna see the deal, and the deal will go through where Xenon then I would imagine like dominating the Langris and or something like that. With maybe like the either ending it out with no like hope, or maybe like ending it with the Black Bull showing up. Either one really works. But yeah, with that said, that's the end for the chapter and what could honestly happen. So, anyways, I hope you like this video. I hope you leave a like and subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. And that's it. I cannot wait to see all the motos next time. Goodbye.